I don't care what anybody says, and I'm not saying God exists or doesn't exist and all these other things. I'm simply just saying crystals hold incredible amounts of energy. You put it on your eyes, like you would put an icicle on your eyes, and then you leave it, and if you're sensible to these energies, you'll feel how it stays there. And it's like telekinesis too, when I move objects with my mind. And when there's a lot of energy on my hands at times, I feel it and it just sits there, you know? And it's also kind of like not really emotional data, like with coordinate remote viewing, like mental teleportation, um, probing and decoding certain data. I mean, I don't know what else to call it, wavelengths. Um, with life, past, present, and future. Um, and it's kind of like aesthetic data that I receive, and it's also kind of like it's very tangible data as well. But with what's similar with all these, and what I like, it's very delightful because some it helps you focus on the breath very clearly, like deeply. Like for example, with frankincense and sage and certain senses, when you're aware of the sense of smell with your six senses, it's a lot easier to stick with the breath. And sometimes that's all you gotta do. Just keep sticking to the breath and not focus on the world, not think about the world. You have to watch your perceptions. And it's beneficial, at least for me, focusing on clarity in just the breath. Or a perception of just a clear space versus perceptions like that can cultivate a sense of dispassion towards things, which is okay, is necessary at times, but like, or a lot of aversion or dislike that we can't, haven't learned to overcome yet by thinking too much about the bad things in the world and stuff like that. It's refreshing, and sometimes it can be a bit much, but it can potentially lead you to a deeper understanding of things, to touch, in a sense, various other planes of consciousness, like drinking peppermint tea, for example. Feeling. You're in touch with warmth. It's like lasting impressions, like psychometry, this one ability where I touch objects. In the movie Push, it's called sniffers. And I touch these crystals, and I know, and I can sense impressions of this one girl that put it on her forehead, specifically more here than here. And I mean, anyways, the point of this conversation, or what I'm saying, is we love continuity of awareness, and that gives you a sense of it enough to where you can have a bigger field of perception on things, understanding of things, to where you can even go beyond that, because we want that and we desire that so much, and there's so much fear in death, and then you'll go on to like nihilism and all this other stuff that you kind of want to avoid too.
Addictive behavior or addictive thinking. You can think of that addiction as kind of like being caught in a bad dream. You're caught in the sense that it keeps looping around. Our mind goes through lots of different feedback loops. But if you were to trace the mind as it wanders through the day ordinarily, it goes from one loop to another loop to another one to another one. But certain patterns of behavior are more like getting stuck in a loop and not being able to get out. You do something and you feel bad about it, and then because you feel bad about it, you want to do something to make yourself feel good, and so you go back and you do it again. Because you think that's the only where you're going to get a little hit of pleasure. And it just goes around and around and around and it doesn't come out. What you've got to learn how to do is get out of that loop. As I said, if you can regard it as a bad dream, what do you do to get out of the dream? Well, you wake up. That's what these factors are for. So say you've got a desire to give in to some lustful thinking. And part of the mind says there's going to be some pleasure there. And you have to recognize, well, that's not a part of the mind you want to hang out with or to believe. Even though there may be some pleasure, the long-term results are not all that positive. So the first thing you do is establish your awareness with the body, or with any other frames of reference for mindfulness. But say you're with the body, okay, work with the breath, try to reclaim the breath, because oftentimes